So let's go over that again really quickly. So we're on the progress tracker version 0.5 for next year. You can drag this around for your own observation. Force reactions and push-pull are both going to be done by week 13, possibly, of quarter 2. Personal inventory. When implemented, players will physically store weapons, gadgets, consumables, healing items, and more on their person and in their vehicle via backpacks, pockets, and containers. This utilizes the new iCache experience for persistence wherever players travel. So this is a really big deal. And they only want 25 weeks to do it. And again, that takes us to quarter 2, week 13. So this is huge. So hopefully that's true. 6 months out, we're gonna have iCache possibly, if everything goes smooth. So this is all force reactions. Again, expanding on the physics-based reactions to physical forces. Actors are made to stagger, collide with their environment, and experience inertia, regardless of being the pilot. And then 0G push-pull, so allowing players in EVA to push and pull objects. FPS radar and scanning, 13 weeks. They have one engineer, one designer on it. Improved signature system supporting much greater distance and dampening of signatures by environmental interference, and larger signatures improving scanning driven by the same signature system as the radar and ping available in ships, ground vehicles, and FPS. And they are saying 13 weeks, and they're starting on it on week 2 of quarter 1. And it looks like by the first week in quarter 2, it might be done. Cooperative locomotion. This mechanic allows players to grab some larger objects and move them around in an environment by either pushing or pulling it. And they want 13 weeks. So this would be like version 1, and then version 2 is at week 13 of the second quarter. Miscellaneous support. So they're not saying exactly what this is, but they have 2 designers, 1 animator, and 1 engineer supporting other teams, updating existing features or small tasks that don't necessitate a full entry. Healing, TO. I'm not sure exactly what TO means. Anyone know? Shoot, do you know by chance? Healing TO actor status. The improved player status system focuses on implementing additional statuses, specifically intoxication and the effects from drugs, and the associated functional and visual feedback. This also will allow players to use items and healing properties such as med pens on other players, other player characters, and NPCs. They have 1 animator, 2 engineers, and 1 artist, and they're saying 25 weeks. So that'll take us to, and they're doing it right away, so that'll take us to week 13 of quarter 2. Player interaction, TO hints and interactions. This is 13 weeks, so this is first quarter. Oh no, wait, this is second quarter is when they're starting this. The player interaction experience, PIE, or the PI, is a holistic array of complementary features and systems, all related directly to the player status, item status, environment status, as well as interactions with both the game world and the objects within it are covered under these systems. 1 engineer. Bespoke take in place. 19 weeks starting in second quarter. Definable and bespoke take in place and place animations actions for specific items. For example, take a place animation for a helmet, and it should be different from a bottle or a grenade. Mop and bucket. 19 weeks starting in quarter 2, enabling support for AI janitors to use multiple tools in either hands. I would assume what is happening here is was like the bartender, and this is another bartender key way to see AI interacting with the environment, and that's why you're seeing this. So don't feel negative about it. Don't say why AI janitor. It's probably a foundation item for making things look alive in the verse.
Somebody's got to pick up all them water bottles.
Exactly. Prone T1. 2 disciplines, animation and design. 23 weeks starting in week 7. No, sorry. Week 13 of quarter 2. All tasks related to implementing prone, lying down movement by the players and NPCs. They want 23 weeks to work on it. Sliding. This feature will introduce the new traversal method for players, allowing them to traverse short distances by sliding along the floor. This will add a new element to combat situations. 2 animators. Now this one looks big. They got a lot going on with this. Player interaction experience, lockers and inventory. This is week 13 of quarter 2, requiring 1 engineer, 1 artist, and 1 designer, and they're going to have it done in probably 13 weeks. Lockers introduces a consistent way to store clothes, armor, and other items in physicalized state. Also includes a more robust and tactile method of storing items on shelves and attachment surfaces. This builds on the personal inventory, expanding and the inventory UI to include lockers. Ladders. So T1 is probably tech level 1, I'm guessing, like revision 1. Ladders improves the freedom and control of traversing ladders. Specifically, players will be able to aim and shoot weapons, use grenades, heal, and complete other one-handed actions. They will also be able to dodge from side to side to avoid gunfire or falling debris. 1 engineer, 1 artist. 1 designer for EVA Tech 2. Further improves EVA experience following the transition to IFCS, introduces limited EVA fuel, encourages the use of 0G push and pull multi-tool tractor beam. And again, this is quarter 2, week 13 that they're looking at this for ladders and EVA. Player interaction experience, Tech 2, visor, HUD, and helmet. 2 engineers, 1 artist. 11 weeks in. This is gonna be end of quarter 3 is when they're going to start working on this. It's going to take 11 weeks approximately. Build on existing heads-up display HUD for the new look and feel. Includes new equip and remove experience, boot up and power down sequences, and transitions between FPS and ship HUDs. Okay, that's that whole heading done. That was actor feature team. Actor tech team. Force reactions. We're going to have to pull this over to the side again. We're going to start over at week 2 of quarter 1. Force reactions. 1 engineer. Expanding on the physics-based Player reactions to physical forces. Actors are made to stagger and collide with their environment and experience inertia regardless of being the pilot. Miscellaneous. 5 engineers on a project they don't want to tell us about, so that's fine. 49 weeks including general support for other teams, updating existing features, small tasks that don't necessitate full entry. So this is still important to know these things, because now you know where their engineers are, what they're doing. They're helping out other teams. Stair Locomotion, 7 weeks in at the start of quarter 2 or start of quarter 3 essentially. Hey Verpin, how you doing? This includes the new animations depending on whether the character is walking, running, or sprinting, and procedural foot alignment to ensure the character hits each stair correctly. 1 engineer, and that's quarter 3 basically is when they're starting that one. Weapon handling 2, version 2, introduces character animations while interacting with and customizing FPS weapons. The aim is to add tactile look and feel to weapons handling, supporting the wider goal of high fidelity character interactions with all relevant objects in game. And this is quarter 3, week 6 is when they're starting that. Bug fixing and tech debt. Week 13, general bug fixing and optimization for all game features and back-end tech. And that is week 12, quarter 3. Live mission content team. Let's go back to the beginning of the year. Mining harvestables, 1 designer, looking for 6 weeks, pretty much the start of the year. Adding the first iteration of looting. This involves spawning weapons, bottles, med pens, and clothes at various locations that a player can find, stores, and use. Pyro system and planet missions. They're working on this right away. 50 weeks to complete. So basically to the end of the year. Completing the initial foundation work needed to implement the Pyro system in the game. So if we pull this all the way over, we can see quarter 4, week 12, and then quarter 1, 2022. So I would assume we're not going to see Pyro next year at all. I would assume it's off a bit. 4 designers. But this is much better to know these things and set our expectations. So this is a really healthy thing that we're seeing. Delivery mission, dangerous locations, 6 weeks, starting in quarter 1. Implement missions, tasking the player with delivering hazardous cargo to dangerous locations. Cargo will be damage sensitive and must be protected while outlaws attempting to destroy it. And again, same time period, 6 weeks. First quarter, implemented time delivery missions with multiple drops and varied timers. This will require players to prioritize drops and plan routes to ensure all packages are delivered on time. These missions will vary between local drops and long distance deliveries. 1 designer. 890 jump mission update, 1 designer, 24 weeks to do it. Update the Origin 890 jump missions to support body dragging. This will enable the player to drag an unconscious NPC into his ship in the cargo hold and extract them. Includes both lawful and unlawful mission variants. This could open up some of the things like collecting those hostiles if you didn't kill them as bounties. So maybe if you take your Cutlass Blue there. This also could maybe involve taking the non-hostile NPCs onto a med bed and maybe saving them. So that's some interesting things to look at. So that's 24 weeks, taking us into the end of Q2. I can't think of anything to expand upon that. Counterfeiting and data download missions. So this is right away. They're working on this and they want 50 weeks. So we're not going to see data running probably this year. We're probably going to see it next year. That's what that's saying. Implementing missions that task players with infiltrating ships defended by hostiles, NPCs to hack terminals. There will be both lawful and unlawful variants of these missions. Miscellaneous support. So this is basically saying they have 2 designers helping out other teams, and that is 48 weeks, so that's the whole year essentially. Unannounced. So unannounced content being worked on by week 8 possibly to the middle of Q2 for unannounced content. So your guess is as good as mine. Maybe there'll be some other revelations as we go down this list of what that content might be. Bug fixing and tech debt, 44 weeks. So this is 5 designers dedicated to general bug fixing and optimization of the game features and backend tech. Dynamic events, 26 weeks, and this is starting in at the end of Q2. Continued working on backend tech to support the development of dynamic events and Star Citizen ever expanding universe. Really vague, but good to know. Ground scramble race. This is starting Q4, adding scramble races to Hurston and Moons along with other general improvements and bug fixes. So maybe we'll see ground vehicles stick to the ground by then, a little bit better than they do now. Reputation gates for missions. This is Q4 that they're starting this. They need 12 weeks to do it. Doing more in-depth pass on gating access to mission based off player reputation with corporations and mission givers. LZ1 content. So LZ is landing zone, I assume. We're going to go back to the beginning of Q1. Assyrian V1 version 1 compromised 23 weeks. So they got 12 artists, 3 designers. So this is where they're really putting a lot of their assets right now, is building more assets. Compromised of a lattice of platforms suspended in mid-atmosphere. Assyrian is considered one of the most picturesque locations in Sten. This task includes creating all areas and landing zones, including shipyards, hubs, gardens, and spaceports. And there's just going to be 23 weeks, so don't expect to see Assyrian basically till maybe the beginning of Q3 or the very end of Q2. So get excited for that. And if you guys didn't know what that was, again, that's above Crusader. And they've already showed us video of it, and or maybe not. Yeah, they've shown us some video of it, but a lot of pictures of it. Unannounced 2 disciplines. So something right away this year that they're going to be working on, unannounced content. 3 artists, 1 designer, and that is for Star Citizen, not Squadron 42. Hacking TO. So I'm guessing TO is actually tech 0. So tech level 0, first iteration is what we're seeing here. So this is 1 artist working on all the backend tech tasks related to creating the first pass of the hacking feature that will be used in future locations and mission updates. When implemented in-game, this feature will be used to access systems and areas that have been previously closed to the player. The hacking process will be represented via a mini game that is displayed in the player's HUD visor. Cave improvements, 3 weeks. So this is going to be Q1, 6th week into it. Adding new cave entrance to the PU. The drive-in entrance will allow players to enter using ground vehicles while the sinkhole entrance will require players to enter and exit using a ship. So we don't know what's going to be in them, but safe to assume it's probably mining. Why else would you need to take a vehicle in a place unless there's some specialized missions for it as well, which could be interesting too. Again, we'll look down the list further and we'll see if anything lines up for other things they're adding. Miscellaneous support, so they have 1 designer, 2 artists for 25 weeks supporting other teams. Bug fixing and tech debt, so they have 12 artists and 4 designers doing general bug fixing optimization for all game features and backend tech, and that is for Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. Pyro space stations, so this is 25 weeks. I would expect to see this towards the end of the year. So that is interesting that we are seeing Pyro being asked, basically, where was it? Pyro planet mission setup is going to be done basically the last week of Q4 is what they're saying here. And we're seeing Pyro space stations in the last quarter as well. So there's a chance that they're pushing for Pyro to be done by Christmas next year. That's what that looks to me. So if everything goes smooth for them, that's I'd say a strong possibility is what they're aiming for. Adding a small rundown rest stop stations to the Pyro system, which provide basic services and use limited interiors. So again, 11 artists and 4 designers. Again, looking like they're pushing for Pyro for the end of the year of next year. Unannounced. So this is all Planet Tech and stuff like this. So we're seeing something Q3 almost at the beginning of it. Go into Q4 for an unannounced content. So we'll find out what that is. So again, we can probably look at things and see what it lines up with. But I'll leave that expanded for now, and we'll leave the other Pyro thing expanded as well. So you can see how things are looking like they're lining it up. So probably my guess would be this unannounced content is a part of Pyro. It falls right in there. And their miscellaneous support is, I think it's just generally for something else. 25 weeks, beginning of the year. So that miscellaneous support doesn't have to do with Pyro. Unless they're building assets. Anyways, this is some interesting insight into possibly what is happening. And again, this is all conjecture, so grain of salt with everything I'm saying, people. I really know as much as you do. Assyrian version 2. So they already plan to be going back and revisiting what's wrong with Assyrian once they get it built on their first iteration. and that'll be almost end of quarter 3 and ending in quarter 4, about the middle of it. So expect to see Assyrian version 1 by basically before quarter 3. And then a second pass on it right away. So that is interesting. Improving Crusader's landing zone with more shops expanding various services around the city. Rune Station, 11 weeks. Once a mining platform operated by Pyrotechnic, amalgamated until it was abandoned and overrun. Rune Station is a highly dangerous location frequented by feuding gangs and outlaws. One artist. And this is quarter 4. And it's going to take them to the end of the year. So this Rune Station, don't expect to see it at all next year. Garages, utilitarian. This covers the addition of new common element garages to Lorville and the replacement of old garages in Levski with the updated version. And this is only 3 weeks, 2 artists, end of quarter 4. I'm going to leave open this tab because I want to see how Pyro lines up with other stuff. But we're going to go back to the beginning of the year. Law systems improvement. Right away, they're updating the law system to include proxy crime when one person on board a ship commits a felony, and the option to hide notifications and criminal rating updates. Okay. Spawn closets. The initial implement of spawn closets. These allow entities such as NPCs to spawn in an area outside of the player view. These will be used to support missions, location populations, and security responses. The security network version 0. I'm not sure if it's V for version or 6 week right away, quarter 1, initial implementation of the security. Initial implementation of the security system. This allows security features to know if the players are trespassing without having to assign them a criminal rating. Also routes criminal sightings to the back-end communication network. 1 engineer. Dynamic mission systems. First quarter as well. 18 weeks of duration. 1 engineer, 1 designer. When live, the dynamic mission system will allow select mission types to be dynamically tailored to the current environment and quantum at or a later date. These missions will be customizable and payment will be accurately reflected by the distance traveled and risk involved. So this is our first dynamic mission is how I'm taking that. Not to do with how we're going to have our dynamic economy, but maybe that's the first version of this. Little testing going on there. Surrender system is coming in quarter 1, looks like. Allows the players to be arrested without losing their life. They will be able to surrender by coming to a halt and powering down their ship when ordered to by security. Security will halt their attack and arrest the criminal players and impound if the ship is owned by a criminal. What I want to know is if players can do that yet. I'm betting by the wording that's a no. Bounty Hunter version 2, 52 weeks, so we're not going to see this done till the end of the year. But they have 1 engineer, 1 designer working on it, enabling players to track criminals via mobiGlass security app linked to the distress beacons comm arrays, air traffic control systems, cameras, and NPC informants. This will rely on a various new backend tech, including virtual AI, an NPC scheduler, and security service. So the designer is going to be working on it right away. The engineer is going to come into it by week 10, and then step away by the end of week 5 in quarter 3, and then maybe be done in quarter 1 of 2022. I'm not there, Admiral Griffiths, and welcome back, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. Just gonna keep reading these out. Unannounced tech here. So unannounced content that they're working on right away. They have 2 designers, 1 engineer working on it right away. 20 weeks long, and don't see that really lining up with anything. Tracking app, 34 weeks long, 1 designer. The Moby-Glass app that displays the player's history and criminality and helps them understand the laws of various jurisdictions. And I can't speak. Jurisdictions. So that's good, because if you don't know the laws, you don't know if you're breaking them or not, right? 52 weeks. So this is the whole year. Dynamic events, continued work on the back-end tech to support development of dynamic events in Star Citizen ever-expanding universe. And they have 4 designers, 1 engineer. ATC system rewrite. So I'm not sure if this is air traffic control, but I can assume it's probably that. 26 weeks. They're starting right away on it. 1 engineer, taking us to quarter 3, week 3. Rewrite the ATC system to utilize backend service, making it compatible with the server meshing. So ATC might be something else if it's not that. And what did I do? There we go. An unannounced tech right away for quarter 1, done by week 9, using 1 engineer, one designer. What is happening in the first quarter? I don't have any insight onto that quite yet. We'll see if there's anything as we go down. Bug fixing and tech debt, 28 weeks. General bug fixing, optimization for all game features, including backend tech, 3 engineers, 2 designers, and that's for Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. Comm array status on backend update, 2 weeks. Quarter 2 right away in quarter 2. Communication comm array monitored zone status changes to the backend service to enable incorporation into quantum and virtual AI. So quantum is the little AIs that that's what's going on. This is the AIs that we're going to be interacting with. So it's coming online quarter 2. Essentially is what they're saying. Little bits and pieces everywhere. Security network, quarter 2 again. Full implementation of security system includes the features which players need clearance level, such as doors and elevators. Well, hopefully that's on ships, at the very least. 2 engineers for 12 weeks. Grimhex race, So this is coming up in Q2, near the end of it. They need 4 weeks, creating a space-based scramble race beginning at Grimhex. It includes information screens about upcoming events and leaderboards in progress race. So no indication there of whether that's just AI or them setting up the foundation of it. To me, that is just setting up the foundation of it. Won't be usable. Dynamic mission system version 2. So here you go. So they're really getting on the dynamic stuff. 6 weeks. Almost at Q3. 1 engineer. These tasks spent on the first iteration of the dynamic missions, adding improvements and new functionality. Prisons version 3. Funny thing is, I thought we were still in version 1 and just version 1 was just horrible. Version 3. I guess version 2 would have been adding the other breakout method and changing a few things around. But 1 designer, 1 engineer, starting in Q3 basically. Updating the current prison locations to include a more challenging escape route involving AI interaction and stealth gameplay. Unannounced content that is lining up pretty close to the prison gameplay stuff. I would not be surprised if it's related to that. 1 engineer on that. Adapt spawn closets to support persistent NPC spawning. So, tasks to update the spawn closet feature to work with Npc Scheduler service. Subsumption service and server mission logic. 18 weeks. The porting of course subsumption missions code to a service and implementation of select subset of tasks to be used on that service. It includes implementing communication between service and mission logic running on DGS. So I'm guessing this is an actual app running behind. Need some acronym definitions for this stuff. Dynamic population 5 weeks, starting at Q4. All milestones that need to be passed in order to implement dynamic populations in various locations around the verse. 1 engineer. Next big heading, modular. Refining overlays. We're going to go back to the beginning of the year. 7 weeks, so right away. Introducing a new non-commercial overlays to the entry areas of refinery stations to add more variety and better suit of the theme. Jump point spacescaping. 21 weeks, so starting right away. You got an artist or 2 artists working on it right away, and then a designer coming in week 5 of Q2. Creating the environments around the jump points, connecting Stanton and Pyro. The locations will utilize gas cloud tech, include rest stops and other infrastructure. Docking ship to station, 9 weeks. Right away. We're working on this. Adding the ability to dock ships with space stations and other ships. This includes spawning dock ships and space stations with larger vessels. What does this line up with? I want to go down to vehicles real quick. Okay, we're gonna have to go back up. We're just gonna go down the list and then come back to this, because this opens up a lot of things to be built for ships, and I could speculate really hard on it and have some fun with it. And we'll probably do that. DGS gets an explanation later in the okay. We're gonna leave this one open. Miscellaneous support. 46 weeks of 4 artists, 2 designers for Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. So basically the whole year. A Keo cluster, 1 discipline, adding a Keo cluster, a cluster of dangerous charred asteroids. While mostly worthless, some rare materials can be found here. That's happening right away, basically. Quarter 1 for 19 weeks, so done near quarter 2, so probably for a big release patch near the end of that quarter. Statin asteroids right away, 3 weeks, creating replacements for the asteroids currently used in the Statin system using new organic acid flow. 1 artist. Dynamic environment, 1 artist right away. They're paired up basically. Updating the emergency outpost as proof of concept for the new dynamic interior environments. This includes allowing players to use the multi-tool tractor beam thanks to the addition of interactable props and consumables. Small home outpost, 1 designer, 7 artists, 28 weeks, so taking half the year. A small home for the players to live in shelter. Then they consist of small central hub and a few optional internal and external modules that provide a basic necessity to support small group of people for an indefinite amount of time. So if the Crucible was done by this time, you might see Crucible quarter 3. We'll keep an eye out for this. We're going to leave this tab open. Or sorry, not Crucible, Pioneer. Spawning closets, more spawning closet stuff. The initial implementation of spawning closets. These allow entities such as NPCs to spawn in areas outside of the player view. These will be used to support missions, locations, populations. So it's just more iteration of spawning closets. Unannounced tech. 1 artist, 1 designer, unannounced content. Bug fixing and tech, so the whole year, 4 designers and 8 artists working on various things to support other teams. Cooperation, locomotion, 1 artist. This is going to be quarter 2. This mechanic allows players to grab some larger objects and move them around an environment by either pushing or pulling. Jump points. So Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, one designer, 1 artist, 18-week. Building out the functionality, visual and audio effects for jump points to be used to travel between systems, and setting them up in game, including necessary vehicle items and functionality, the jump points themselves, and their inner tunnels. So this is all precursor for Pyro. So if they can get that done, they'll have Pyro. Outpost themed variants. Adding themed variants to colonialism Outpost, which allows us to create different points of interest in the world. Themes will range from abandoned mining, research, and many more. So this is again quarter 4. So if they're doing these, I don't know. I know, like there could be a pioneer this year, or this just could be things you're going to run into. Prison version 4, sorry, version 3, 3 artists, 1 designer, 13 weeks, updating the current prison location to include a more challenging escape. So this is just more iteration of what they said previously. The Aaron Halo, adding the Aaron Halo asteroid field between Crusader and R-Corp. So this is probably all the buildings that we've seen, since the Aaron Halo is technically sort of there, just not all the big art that they showed off with it. Dynamic events. So this is going into quarter 4. Continuing to work on backend tech to support development of dynamic events and Star Citizen, expanding universe. Planet content team. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Right away, Stanton system polish version 2. So we're on version 1 of Stanton, essentially. 13 weeks with 6 artists, updating assets, objects, object presets, planet painting, and global data of planetary bodies in the Stanton system. So 13 weeks. They'll be done by quarter 2. Or sorry, by quarter 3. Stanton asteroids, 1 discipline, so 1 artist. 7 weeks, creating replacements for the asteroids currently used in the Stanton system using new organic workflow. They talked about this in another tab. Cave improvements, adding 2 new cave entrances in the PU. So again, this is the drive-in and the sinkhole. This is another thing talking about looting harvestables. Miscellaneous support for those teams. They got 6 artists available. Sharp Angular Asteroid Pack, 7 weeks. At the beginning of quarter 2, all tasks involved in creating and implementing sharp Angular Asteroid Packs for the use in Pyro system. So that should be an interesting visual by the sounds of it. Next, 1, 2, and 3. 13 weeks. Next 3 looks like it's very short to work on. They want 3 weeks. The other 2, they want 13 weeks. Implementing all tasks. Planet with a high pressure atmosphere and thick clouds of acid not worth terraforming includes the creation of derelicts, wrecks, and unique flora and fauna. So we might see some life. So next 1 is saying the same thing. Next 3 saying that it is a ice giant lacking breathable atmosphere or any valuable materials or minerals. So basically like a Delmar. Pyro system planet mission setup, 14 weeks. Completing and the initial foundational work to implement the Pyro system into the game. So again, this is lining up for Q4 Christmas. They're gonna have Pyro done, accessible. We're gonna be using jump gates to get to them if all goes to plan. So this is pretty good. And thank you for the follow. Unannounced. 7 weeks. So Q4, this is probably more Pyro content that they don't want to talk about. Two different tasks. Unannounced planetary system. So another system other than Pyro? Planetary system. I wonder what that is. That's a really short amount of time. And where are they going to put it? Pyro? Interesting. Let's leave this open too and see if it lines up with anything. Squadron 42 art. I don't know if you guys want me to go through any of that. Maybe it'll give us some inside information onto what is actually happening. Chapter 1, 3 artists. Done by Q2. This might give us an idea of where Squadron 42 is at. Archon station is a large space station located inside the coil. And that's for the whole year. So right there, to me, that is Squadron 42 is not going to be done next year either. Gainey, 26 weeks. Odin's one former moon known as Gainey still drifts near remnants of the planet. Chemlin is an abandoned extraction facility built by Chemlin Solutions located on Gainey in the Odin system. 52 weeks. So there's 2 confirmations. Squadron 42 will not be done next year. Chapter 5, they want 4 weeks at the beginning of Q1. And if you guys aren't aware, there's multiple chapters to Squadron 42. Cinematic team, 39 weeks, 3 artists. Breaker's Yard is an environmental location hidden in deep within Odin 1. RSI Bangle, 2 artists, 4 weeks for Q1. What does this mean, though? Does this mean anything? There's a chance if this is done that, I mean, there's a chance of anything. There's a chance that we might see this come to the verse. Stanton or Station Kit, 6 weeks. This This work aims to further improve assets required for building out space stations. So this is just like Planet Tech, bringing some more life, interactivity to stations, making them look good. Outer system, 4 weeks, polish pass on existing environmental assets around the outer system. Again, this is all Squadron 42. So this is stuff that we're not going to see for a long time. This work aims to focus on further improving derelict and damaged assets. Aegis Idris, 5 weeks, crafted by the Aegis Dynamics. The Idris is is the standard of frigate use by the United Empire of Earth Navy. So Q1 going into Q2. 5 weeks. Aceto Station. 5 weeks. Created by the Aceto Comma Relay, a human corporation that manufactures and maintains interstellar communication equipment. More art. Planet Organics. More art. Another one artist. 27 weeks. Starting in Q3. Work to extend and polish the assets required for populating multiple places of interest located around the Odin system for Squadron 42. Zion Cargo, one artist, or 2 artists, Q3. Construction and implementing the interior and exterior improvement concepts. Okay. Squadron 42, level design, FPS. I'm going to skip these. There's a lot we could already tell by the art that, again, Squadron 42 is not coming out till well, it's not coming out next year. Systemic services and tools team, ATC service. So ATC is air traffic control. It's handled separately on each dedicated game server. As we move closer to the reality of server meshing, the logic for air traffic control needs to transition to separate services. 2 engineers on that, and that is happening right away. Q1 going into almost the middle of Q2 there. Q1 to Q2. Crusader and Orson are on the top of the roadmap. We went over it already. There's Orson version 2, Orson version 1, and we've already went over 1 that was a pass on the Stanton system. Redoing like a hard pass on it. So we haven't missed anything yet. So that's how they're doing air traffic control, is through dedicated game server. So that's the DGS acronym. And that's right away for 16 weeks. Quantum simulation. So this is these are the AIs that they're releasing to us that have a personality. They got 6 engineers, 1 designer, 53 weeks. So that tells you right there it's not going to be released next year either. But it sounds like we're going to get some flavor through dynamic missions. Revealed at CitizenCon 2019, the quantum simulation will serve as the background economy for Star Citizen. Thousands of unseen simulated entities will carry out trade, commerce, piracy, and security to populate and inform other game systems. So again, 6 engineers for the whole year, 1 designer at the beginning of Q1, and that's that. So won't see it next year. And we'll have to see what how the roadmap updates as we go into 2022. Really cool to get an update on that, though. But in the meantime, again, we have the dynamic emissions that they've basically said that we'll have access to. NPC character creation service, 18 weeks. The service will aid in the creation of AI at specific locations for specific reasons, such as quantum simulation, so that you won't be getting a preset AI that you've already seen 20 times before or something like that. This is 18 weeks and they're working on it right away. Dynamic mission systems, 2 weeks, 1 engineer. When live, the dynamic missions will allow the select missions types to be dynamically tailored to the current environment and quantum at later date. These missions will be customizable and payment will be accurately reflected to distance traveled and the risk involved. So this was repeated up higher up on the tracker. AI info service, 1 engineer right away. So these guys are probably working together on the same thing. Currently, Odin and other background tools that display player or NPC locations route through Elasticsearch, which is CIG's analytics pipeline. This process is naturally slow, and the amount of high fidelity data we need to track is low enough to make separate service practical. This new service will continually track and position of players, NPCs, and other entities so that our live service tool can display them properly in real time. So that makes sense that these are working together. Security service, 30 weeks starting Q1, weeks 6. 1 engineer. The security service tracks and records the actions of players, NPCs in turn. Bounty hunting gameplay will use the service to expose the actions taken by outlaws so they can be tracked by bounty hunters. Recipe TDD. I don't know if that's trade district or what that is. 2 weeks performing on an overall polish pass on economic systems from commodity trading to item prices to providing better overall experience to players. And welcome everyone. Miscellaneous support for those teams, 4 engineers, 1 designer, basically for the full year. Bug fixing and tech debt, 53 weeks. It makes sense. This is all just teams helping out other teams. Virtual AI service, 17-week service that drives the logic of virtual AI and go between of subsumption AI and quanta AI. 2 engineers. Npc Scheduler service. I think we've already talked about this, but 17 weeks, 2 engineers. We're into Q2 with this. The NPC Scheduler is meant to add and remove NPCs to the game, dynamically spawning them into and out of the verse based upon NPC archetype. Maximum number of NPCs in a given area and the probabilities that those NPCs are those NPC archetypes. So this is like basically if you guys are flying somewhere and your ship gets interdicted, this is the scheduler that says this is what's spawning here, essentially. Dynamic population, 9 weeks. All milestones that need to be passed in order to implement dynamic populations in various locations around the verse. Doesn't tell us a whole lot, but data core serialization, 6 weeks, a C++ star service that will use the normal game tech to read the data core data, whether that be in binary format or loose files, and expose it via diffusion of API. Okay, I need someone to tell me what the heck that is. We'll just not worry about it for now. Probability, volume, encounter, density, refractor, 2 engineers, 6 weeks. It's the same period, so these things are totally connected. Probability volumes are currently hard-coded and static. This refractor will allow us to have much more control of how probability volumes are created from the back end, so that we can dynamically change the feel of the game through other services like Quantum. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of Q1, the US PU gameplay feature team. Reputation UI, 4 weeks, 1 artist right away. This feature will give players insight to their reputation, with the important NPCs and organizations they have interacted with. This will also include a total list of reputation ranks, including those that have been completed and the ones that are actively working on. Data core seems to be the systems they are moving to as a replacement for XML files. They mentioned this in a later card. Okay, thanks, Sky. Building blocks, shop conversion. Right away. 32 weeks convert the UI used when visiting item shops to work on building blocks technology and prepare the layout for the upcoming organizational perks. 1 designer, 2 engineers. Commodity kiosk, again starting Q1. It looks like some tasks are spread out all the way to near the end of Q2. 22 weeks converting the commodity kiosk to utilize building blocks. This will also add loading timers, which will need to be factored in when planning cargo runs. Okay. Cargo system refractor right away, 20 weeks, 1 designer, 1 engineer, 20 weeks, refractor to allow both found and purchased cargo to be picked up, moved around, placed on the cargo grid of a ship, probably with your tractor beam tool. iCache conversion right away, retargeting all gameplay systems that use the legacy persistent data management system to the new iCache interface. This is in support of the wider persistent streaming of server meshing initiatives. So first iteration of iCache, 3 engineers right away, Q1. I wasn't expecting that. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if that's going to be fully implemented, but this might be just a first part of iCache, not actually released. So I don't want to get people's hope up. Sure sounds like it. That's going to be on though. Dynamic events, 46 weeks, so basically almost to the end of the year. Continue to work on the back end tech to support development of dynamic events in Star Citizen ever-expanding universe. Mission Manager app, 2 artists, 1 engineer, right away. Q2, whatever that'll be for release, 16 weeks. Alongside converting to building blocks, this feature includes an updated UI in support of the dynamic mission system. Also includes the ability for players to see the reputational requirements of mission content. Awesome. Asset Manager, 18 weeks in support of localized inventories. The Asset Manager keeps track of all player-owned items, where they're stored, where they need to go, pick up, transfer, and equip them. This just sounds like iCache, like a part of iCache. Unannounced content. And this is all PU game US gameplay feature. So we don't know what this is. They're doing it right away though. Miscellaneous support, 46 weeks, 1 designer, 2 engineers.
Yep.
Unannounced, 14 weeks, unannounced tech. That'll be done for Q2, probably release. What would that be, people? What do you think's coming?
Four engineers.
Yeah, 4 engineers. This is going to be a big one. Bug fixing and tech debt, 42 weeks. 3 designers, 2 artists, 4 engineers, fixing things.
Starts at the same time as the one above it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can only speculate.
Yeah.
Salvage.
It could be. It could be. We need to go find where that cutting tool lines up with this. Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be crossover as well. Hangar manager app. So we got some real spread out things happening over 34 weeks. Creating a mobiGlas app that emulates the functionality of the APSOT terminals, allowing players to spawn ships, claim insurance, and access their array of landing services to maintain their ships. So thank goodness they're doing this. That's exciting to know that they're doing this. So again, that was 1 designer, 2 engineers, 2 artists, 34 weeks. Grimhex races, we've already talked about this. That was repeated above. Unannounced content coming Q3. So probably for at least Q4. So this will probably be Pyro. Some sort of Pyro content. Notification system, Tech 0. I'm assuming Tech 0. Adding the mobiGlas Notification Center app where players can filter, sort, view, organize, and interact with relevant notifications they otherwise missed or want to review later. And this is Q4. Org perks and benefits. There's a big one. Q4 thing. So org perks and what stuff and whatnot what might be released for Q4. Leveraging the reputation system, we're adding in game perks based upon organizations the player has joined. you guys are looking for an org, make sure you join mine. Let's go down. Vehicle concept art. Unannounced. 30 weeks. Unannounced vehicle right away. Taking that vehicle to middle of quarter 3. Aegis Retaliator gold standard. So we're going to assume gold standard is taking vehicle to complete where they don't have to touch it again. And that's that. So they're doing a pass on it right away here. Done for quarter 1. And they're saying Squadron 42 as well. So we know the Retaliator is in Squadron 42. Like most Asia ships should be. Squadron 42 vehicle support, 10 weeks polishing and iterating on various vehicles needed for Squadron 42 single player campaign. Cat Industrial MT FPS attachments. So you guys wanted attachments for your I'm assuming this is not the rock, this is attachments for the multi-tool specifically. They're not telling us what they are, but I would expect a stun feature in there with the surrender mechanic coming in. Unannounced content, 34 weeks starting quarter 2 basically. Probably, what is that, to the end of the year? No, 34 weeks, so yeah, it's basically to the end of the year. Something could be released again for Pyro. Shield Emitters, 1 artist, middle of quarter 3. Converting ship shield emitters to physical objects that can be targeted and destroyed, giving the players the ability to permanently disable enemies' shields. And this is what I was talking about. I think my last stream I was talking about this, where you will be able to target components. So there's a really good example of that. Whether it's a power plant or a shield emitter. Fire extinguishers. Quarter 2, 16 weeks, 1 artist, all back-end tech tasks required to implement functioning fire extinguishers in the game. This feature will work alongside with the fire hazard system. Misc Hull B. There you go. Specific ship. 12 weeks building the implementing and balancing the Misc Hull B as a flight-ready ship. That's interesting that they're telling us that that's going to happen.
And how long it'll take.
Yep. So quarter 3. So I would expect to see this ship available in a quarter 3. Like in a patch. Expect, like, guys, like if you guys are wondering how the patches work, expect what they're aiming for is each quarter a patch in the last couple weeks. Depending on how, what they want in the patch and where that tech is being developed. If it's delayed a bit, then they either knock it back to the next patch or just delay the patch. FPS devices deployables. 14 weeks, while throwable and consumable devices already exist in Star Citizen as grenades and med pens. Further work on the system will enable us to more easily create new items with different effects when used. This includes the development of deployable devices, items that can be carried around as part of a player loadout, equipped and deployed onto a surface. 14 weeks, 1 artist. Quarter 3. Should be done. Unannounced content, 22 weeks, starting quarter 3, going into the new year.
Hey. In Twitch chat, I can't see that name. Dihaunt?
Yep.
I think. He's having a little issue there. You
Yep.
explain to him where the add button is.
Yeah. Can I show you right after this, Dahat? I can show you real quick where it is. Actually, hold on.